Good morning and welcome to Today in LA. I'm Mike Amos, hoping that you're doing well this morning on a Tuesday as we move right on with the month of June 19th already. Looking at my calendar, ladies and gentlemen, and you know how I always, if you watch my show over the years, 4th of July is after the 4th of July, you can just go ahead and shut down everything else because it's heading right toward football. And it's just a couple of weeks away, to tell you the truth. But we're looking at the 19th. As we go through the weekend, the 23rd and 24th. Then the next weekend is the weekend of Saturday the 30th when Brundage had this big Independence Day parade, and then that Thursday. Let's see here. Yeah, that Wednesday is the 4th of July. So. Boy, oh boy, it's just flown by, and it's going to get faster and faster, and heck, we'll be talking about going back to football practice and going back to school before long because it is really moving this month. And, of course, plenty of rain. The guy asked me the other day, did I get my sprinkler system fixed? And I said, no, I hadn't thought about it. It's rained so much. Right now, everybody's grass is green, and the guy just moved in across the street from me from up in Virginia, nice family. I visited with him the other day, and I told him, I said, listen, don't worry about your grass as long as we get plenty of rain, because rain is what makes grass green, and, of course, a little fertilizer here and there. Alabama has already received a decommitment from Georgia. Four-star defensive end Justin Ibabaji of Forest Park, Georgia, verbally committed to the Crimson Tide in a Twitter this past Monday, choosing Alabama over offers from in-state teams of Georgia and Auburn. Ilojobi is a 6'5", 263-pounder, is rated the nation's top 10 strong side defensive end in the country by 247 Sports. He is the 16th verbal commitment already for the 2019 season. Now, not this season, but the next season after that. That class in Alabama top-rated 2019 class, and the 15th with a 4-star or better rating. The Tide's 5th defensive lineman commitment, and 3rd from a defensive end. So I'll just say this. It looks like the difference in winning and losing, I really believe this, is not your wide receivers, it's not your running backs, it's not your quarterback, it's your rush lineman. If you whip everybody up front, if you just wear them out up front like Alabama's been doing the last 10 years, is just whipping folks up front. All you got to do is look at the NFL draft and look at what they're doing here. You got 5 of the top defensive linemen in the country already committed for 2019. But if you get whipped up front, I've said this all these years, that if you get whipped up front, it's over, because then the big boys will run right over you, around you, and through you. But if you're strong up front, if you shut them down up front, you stand them straight up front, you got a very good chance of winning. Mike, the rich get richer. Alabama gets one from Georgia. What do you think? Hello.
Mike Amos.
Yes, sir.
Bud, Luverne, Alabama.
Bud, where have you been? I thought you had died, Bud. I was looking through the obituaries over and over and over, looking for your name and couldn't find it, man. Where have you been?
Oh, I've just been laying low. Look at here. You talking about football season rapidly approaching.
Can you believe it?
There's been some shake-up coaching around here in the last week or two.
Well, tell us about it.
Actually, Gilchrist, the head coach and athletic director at Brantley High School, has stepped down to take a position as elementary principal in Andalusia.
Well, is he going to quit coaching or what?
I don't know now, but Brantley will be looking here in the middle into June.
Can you believe that Gilcrease, who is one of the bright young coaches out there, would rather be an elementary school principal than be the head football coach at Brantley High School? I think that's a step down, don't you?
No.
You don't?
No.
Why?
Pressure's off of him.
Well, I don't. But is he going to continue to coach?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Elementary principal at Andalusia Elementary. I don't think so. I don't think he's.
Well, Andalusia's fortunes got better a few years back, and 3 or 4 years back, when their old Andalusia boy, former Andalusia quarterback, goes back, leads strong, and goes back to Andalusia, and look what he's done.
Yeah, Trent Taylor.
All right, now tell me. All right, now so Gilcrease is leaving. Who else?
The head basketball coach at Goshen has resigned to take a position in some school in Birmingham. I haven't heard.
And I thought he had done a very good job at Goshen, didn't you?
I did, and let me tell you, everything runs in circles in high school ball, especially in these small 1A, 2A, 3A divisions. Yeah. And you run in cycles, and at times your talent gets it to a point where it gets pretty low, just like with Elba. And I think that had a lot to do with, I think both Gilcrease and the head coach at Goshen, I think as far as increasing their payday, they've done a better job. They've done better by taking these positions, but they've both done great jobs. But the talent level at Brantley and at Goshen this coming season is not as strong as it has been in the past.
Yeah. Well, and that's saying something more for Brantley than for Goshen, because Brantley's always good.
Yeah, they are, and I think Brantley not going too deep in the playoffs the last 3 years, and some thin talent there, and not being as strong as they used to. I think that might have had the decision of Coach Gilcrease leaving.
Now, well, you're exactly right. And of course, there's Gilcrease is everywhere in Brantley, everywhere. And of course, you go out to play golf today, you're gonna run into a Gilcrease. They're great guys and great people.
Especially over here at Luverne.
Of course, there's one of those Gilcrease's coaches over at Arrington that's really done great, no question about it.
Coach Steve, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Until you talked a couple of weeks ago, if the young athlete at Crenshaw Christian can take the coaching philosophy and the rigmarole that it takes at CCA, they done a fantastic job in hiring Wayne Grant.
I know what I was fixing to say. You could throw a rock and hit rank Wayne Grant, couldn't you?
Yes, sir.
That means you're gonna watch a lot of ball. I bet you're gonna watch a lot of practice, don't you think? He might want you to be on his staff.
Listen, I'd love to be there, but he's just from the old school.
Hey, run off tackle there to the right and off tackle to the left, and keep you wondering and trying to guess, and he just beats you.
And listen, I'm going to tell you something that I've heard Coach Stallings say time and time again. If you can stop the run on defense and run the ball on offense, you'll win 80% of your balls.
That's right. You know what I just got through talking about was what's up front that counts. You know, Alabama just got a decommitment from Georgia. Now they claim they got the top 5 best down defensive linemen in the country for 2019. If you look at it, you can have all the quarterbacks you want, all your running backs and all your wide receivers, but it's what's up front that counts, especially defensively. If you shut down people straight up up front on the defensive line, you're gonna win a lot of games.
You're exactly right. It's one right there, both sides of the ball in the trenches. And
if you look at it, that's what Auburn's trying to do. Auburn's recruiting more and more big linemen. People are trying to do or emulate what Alabama has done and win all those championships. They just whip you up front.
Absolutely, and I'm going to change the subject a little bit.
Yeah, sure,
do. World Series going on, and what a run Mississippi State's on right now. And I look for them in Texas Tech, maybe play for the championship. That Texas Tech team is strong.
It really is, and and I think you'll agree with this. You've been around baseball a long time. Troy, went to the regions, and maybe it might have been a pitcher or maybe 2 pitchers away from going a long ways. That pitching, down the stretch is what it's all about. But you look at they played Mississippi State in Birmingham about a month ago, a month and a half ago. I went up there to see it, and of course I watched Mississippi State. A great tradition, and Troy, just played straight up with them. Of course, baseball is a different story. Pitching had a lot to do with it. Troy played straight up with Auburn every time they played them, and beat them once and lost once. But
Right.
but we didn't see that premium pitcher. That's the big difference, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Pitching's the biggest. Yeah,
I mean,
you're
that
right.
that premium guy, Troy played Auburn twice and never saw that guy that was the #1 draft choice.
That's exactly right, and it's all in the pitching, And to Auburn and your big power schools, they've got the depth on the mound, and of course one thing or another. I'm gonna say this, and I've got to run, and I will call you back. I'm back in the groove, so to say.
Well,
right
good.
now.
I'm glad. And listen, I tell you also what we need to talk about, and I've already mentioned it. Troy has signed a kid out of Brantley that could be a world beater. I mean, a difference maker. Don't you agree?
Oh, you talk about on the softball?
Yeah, on this softball, this girl could be a difference maker. I mean, could take Troy maybe as far as the playoffs one day.
She's probably going to bring their level up to about 2 notches. You're
Yeah.
exactly right. She is one athlete.
They say they're talking to players now that they would have never been able to talk to until they signed this girl. Girls want to win.
Absolutely.
These girls want to win. They want to go where they know they can win, and now they look at Troy as being a place they know they can win.
Well, you're exactly right, and all the way around now, their basketball program is probably not as solid and strong as the football and girls softball and the baseball, but it's all coming together and getting big time recruits. If it's 1, 2, or 3, but the coaching and the philosophies they have, doing the things the right way, is going to get athletes into Troy. I mean, just look what Coach Brown's done.
Oh yeah.
And,
Something I'd love to do before long is come get you, or you come over here and let's get in the golf cart and let me drive you all over this campus and take you to the coaches' offices and buy you lunch. I can't wait to do that.
all right, and let me say this. I've been doing some PA work in scorebook keeping.
And I hear you do a great job.
We're doing the Dixie U thing over here. It's Dixie U time, tournaments and districts and all that. And
Is this the ozone? Is this the ozone, or what is it?
we got 12-year-old ozone. Troy won it last night, and then we've got the 9.
Did they win the district?
They won the district.
They had to beat Andalusia, though, didn't they? They beat Andalusia?
They beat Luverne.
Oh, beat Luverne. Luverne got a good program.
Luverne beat Andalusia Saturday to knock them out.
Well, that was a huge win for Luverne, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And the 9 and 10s championship game tonight will be between Troy and Andalusia. But let me say this.
I might be driving over there to see that, but I might come over there and see that if I could.
All right, we'll be there at 6 o'clock. But I was fixing to do some PA work Friday night, and somebody stepped behind me and said, "Bud," and I turned around and looked. It was Steve Sanders.
Uh-huh.
You need to call Mike Amos. He talked about you all.
That's right, man. You're right. And everybody wants to hear about you, buddy. You're good for radio, man.
I appreciate it, but
No, I mean, what I'm saying, excuse me, you're good for television.
That's right. Either way, but come on over tonight, and we'll get together soon, and I'll let you do that. I'd love to do that.
That would be a lot of fun. And
coaches of Troy.
well, let me just tell you this: you're the heart and soul of Luverne, Alabama. You care, and Highland Home. Man, my son just loves that bunch of folks over at Highland Home. The coaches over there and
Listen,
great people.
Let me tell you something, Coach. When you get into Little League coaching and high school coaching, we take for granted the W's, and we put too much emphasis on the W.
That's right.
It's all about the kid.
That's right. And of course, you remember that tournament team wherever you are. You deserve a lot.
Well,
No
it's
question.
all about the children and the young folks that play ball, and it's just a great atmosphere, and it's just a great time of year. I love baseball, and when you got the College World Series and you Dixie U.
Boy, I tell you what, you're right. Hey, that Monday with those 4 games had to be the biggest day in baseball in this part of the country. Don't you agree?
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, Mike, I got.
All right. Well, call me back soon here.
I will. I'll call you in a couple of days.
All right, will do. You on Today in L.A.? How you doing?
Hey, morning.
Mike Amos just got through talking to Bud from Luverne. Boy, I like him, and I think the folks out here like him. He keeps us up with what's going on with recreation baseball, and the 9 and 10-year-old Troy teams playing for the championship over in Luverne tonight. They won the championship last night in the Ozone, the 11 and 12. So Troy continues to roll in recreation baseball.
Yeah, I've enjoyed Luverne. I've been down there a lot lately with Wagner's Team Sports. I've been going by Luverne High School and Crenshaw Christian Academy, and Luverne's a great little town.
Michael, I just heard some stunning news. Ladies and gentlemen, if you keep up with high school football or high school athletics and all, this is stunning news. Gilcrease has left Brantley High School, Mike, and is going to Andalusia to be a elementary school principal.
Wow, that is shocking news. I did not know that at all. Saw Coach Gilcrease in Tuscaloosa not too long ago at the Nick Saban coaching clinic, and we were talking about the upcoming season, and I had no idea that was going to happen.
And it really surprises me, and of course,
I would imagine that's a move for money. I would imagine that's probably
it probably is, and then at the same time, they've got to get a new football coach in Brantley, and I'm wondering if any of those Gilcreases are available. He's got a couple of brothers, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what will happen this late.
I tell you what. I tell you where a pretty good football coach is, Mike. Is my defensive coordinator over at Highland Homes a pretty good? Could be a pretty good choice, wouldn't you think?
Oh yeah. Will Pouncey, yeah, he is a really good coach.
Will Pouncey is a fine coach, and you know what? He coaches with.
There's a lot of people that would be interested in that job.
Yeah. And he coaches with emotion. Mark Twain just walked in in this studio, and he's going to be on our guest today too. Mike Amos calling in from. Where are you? You still at the beach, or where are you, man?
No, we're back from Grayton Beach. We had a great Father's Day weekend down there, and
come on up here.
Got to have some really good food down there. Went to the Red Bar in Barago, our favorite place down there, and it was just a whole lot of fun. It wasn't too crowded down there, really, compared to what we were thinking when we got down there. So it was a really nice weekend.
Max Federal Credit Union, we appreciate them. Also, the Matthews Law Firm coming into the batter's box right here, Mike. Is a guy that bats a cool 349 lifetime at elementary school growing up in Brundage.
You're right. Good to see you this morning, Mike.
Ladies and gentlemen, they're all-time great.
I was in Brundage yesterday. I went by Pike County High School to see my buddy Willie Wright.
Yeah, that's right.
He was in a good place. He was in Brundage, Alabama.
And go ahead and hook on. I'll tell you something about that. Lawrence Bowden, ladies and gentlemen, that just joined us, one of my dear friends. And, Willie Wright is what everybody is, a type guy that everybody needs in their school system. I mean, he's first class. Don't you agree, Mike?
Oh, yeah. He does a great job out at Pike County High School. And it's one of those situations. I grew up with him, playing baseball in the rec leagues. And he's one of those guys that, has been really successful. He was a great pitcher at Troy.
Troy University,
as well. And
a lot of people don't realize that, do they?
Yeah, of course, his brother Wesley grew up going to all his games and following Willie around, and all his brother did was pitch about 7 years in Major League Baseball.
Playing in Major League, they've had Major League guys up there, but they need to put his billboard up somewhere because he played a lot in the Major Leagues, and of course, it all started though with a great role model, and that was their dad, Mike. I remember when they played recreation ball, both of them.
Oh yeah, that was Willie Senior.
And they were actually raised over there around Highland Home, weren't they?
Yeah, they're right around on the Montgomery Crenshaw line over there. Yeah. That's right.
Well, we got the oldest living resident of Pike County is on our show today, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Twain. And my good friend Lawrence Bowden, good to see you, my friend.
Thank you, Mike. Good to be here.
What class did you graduate in at University of Alabama?
He's not ashamed to tell you. What class did you graduate with the University of Alabama?
Well, I actually graduated in December of '48.
December of '48, Mike. Now let me ask you this: you knew all about Bobby Marlowe, you actually watched Bobby Marlowe play, didn't you?
I did, and he was an interesting person, to talk to. I was not real close to him,
But you worked in the dining hall with all those girls, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I was paying more attention to the girls.
Hey,
he
had one of the best jobs on campus. He worked in the dining hall and saw all these sorority girls come eat breakfast every morning. You were their favorite.
And lunch.
You were their favorite waiter. Is that right?
Well, they said it was. I don't know. How that is.
Mike, I'm gonna tell you something. How far back he goes. Of course, he's one of my dear friends on this earth, and does so much for his community. I tell you what, if they don't build a monument for him one day, they're crazy. But Mike, he knew the road between Centerville and Tuscaloosa before it was paved.
Yes, absolutely.
that was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Pretty good while ago. I visited the university before I started going up there, and
why didn't you go to Troy? Troy was right here, but Troy was just a little podunk school then, wasn't it?
I want to go up there and play with the big boys.
Yeah.
But well, the road was not paved from Prattville to Centerville.
That's right, and Jim's Barbecue was nowhere to be found, was it?
That's right.
Twitch and Tween might have been, though, was it?
Twitch and Tween was there.
It was there in Centerville, okay.
Yeah.
And boy, that was good, wasn't it?
It was. You'd reached the destination there when you got there.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy where you actually bypass all that now? You don't even have to go through Centerville.
Have you been over there lately?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, now you don't even see Centerville. In fact, Twitch and Tween's closed
don't you think that probably hurt a lot of business in that town?
I'm sure it did. And West Allen. This is where West Allen's wife's from, Mike. She's from Brent and Centerville.
I didn't know
And,
that.
It's funny when you drive through Tuscaloosa, there's Gerald Allen signs, and when you go through Troy, there's West Allen signs, and their signs are exactly alike.
You're exactly right.
They basically just replace the first name.
Mike, the whole key is you don't mess with a winner. And let me just tell you something about
his dad served.
Yeah, no question about it. And Kay, his wife, is such a lovely, lovely lady. And you look at Wes Allen, the probate judge, who is now running for the office of our state representative. His wife was the head majorette at the University of Alabama. She was the head Crimsonette and at the University of Alabama. And how out of all those players on that team,
he was like a four-string wide receiver, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. And he and you know who his best friend was, don't you?
At Alabama?
Yeah. Well, the guy that coached him and was one of his very best friends was the head coach at Clemson.
Oh,
Dabo Swinney, yeah.
Really?
Exactly right, yeah. But I just wanted people to know that. But she was from downtown Brent, Alabama. Brent and Centerville were right there together, yeah.
Right.
Well, tell us what's going on.
The University of Alabama, and how many students were there when you were there in '48 when you graduated?
How many students?
Yeah.
Gosh, Mike, I can rack my brain, but I can't even begin to come up. But I'm telling you, it was a lot less than is up there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's what they're saying. I was talking to a guy at the beach the other day, and he was saying 38,000.
Yeah, that many students now. That's unreal. You know, ladies and gentlemen, with Lawrence, we joke with him about all this. I knew him when he had dark hair, and I've known him for years. And
he knew you when you had dark hair too.
Yeah, he did. He sure did. And mine was curly too, real curly.
But fighting the floods together.
But of course, you went to the University of Alabama from Brundage, and everybody said, "Well, did you come home much?" Back then, nobody came home much because they didn't have a way.
They didn't have a way to come home. You could ride the bus, but that was a pretty long trip. To ride the bus. You had to change buses and all that stuff.
Mike, I'll tell you an old story that Bud Casey told me one time. Mal Moore came out of Dozier, Alabama, which is on the other side of Brantley. And that's where he went to Dozier High School. At that time, it was the smallest high school in the state of Alabama. And he was a quarterback. And back then, Alabama signed about 100 players each year, and they signed about 20 quarterbacks at least. But he used to ride. Bud would ride to Luverne with Mal Moore and then hitchhiked the rest of the way to Dothan.
Yeah.
But Mal wouldn't take him any further than Luverne because he was heading on down to Doja, you know. But Mal must have been a rich kid because he had a car. He had a car.
He was okay. Yeah.
And you know, Pat Trammell, the great quarterback, Mike, which you know, when you go to Scottsboro, you know, everybody they honor Pat Trammell. Of course, he was a great quarterback and led Alabama in the national championship. He ran around with a little sports car, convertible. And Triumph, I reckon that Spitfire. You remember old Triumph Spitfire?
Those, yeah.
And I think that's what he had. But his daddy was a big doctor, you know, and then later on he became a doctor. Yeah.
That's right.
But one thing, one last thing is you were Kappa Sig at a fraternity, Kappa
That's
Sig, which is a very good fraternity today at the University of Alabama. And how many people followed you? Bill Barr followed you.
There was several. Jimmy Ramage.
Jimmy Ramage followed you.
Don Dickert.
Don Dickert.
Yeah.
The big attorney in Montgomery from Abbeville. Michael, the best dressed lawyer in the country. What's his name?
From Abbeville?
Yeah, from Abbeville. He was he was my buddy over in gosh, he's a lawyer, and he was he defended our gambling lawyer that recently died.
Oh, McGregor?
McGregor. Yeah, he was McGregor's lawyer.
Okay.
And of course he's not. You know, he's in Birmingham or Tuscaloosa now. But you know, he was another one. Bunch of folks sort of followed you to Kappa Sig. Who were some other Kappa Sigs from you there?
We had a. Well, there was 3 or 4 from Brundage. There was Haston from down at Roten was
Jim
there.
Haston.
No, can't think of his first name now,
Yeah.
but he became a doctor too, a very successful eye doctor. He was from Roten.
Okay,
And,
from Roten, from out here at Roten.
Yeah, and then Morris Woods was his family was in Brundage, and he was already a Kappa Sig.
Yeah.
And Brown, my good friend Brown, his father was the railroad agent.
Yeah, my good friend Larry Johnson followed you, but was he a Kappa Sig? Was he a ATO? Wasn't he an ATO?
I don't know. I don't think he was.
Yeah, I think he was ATO. I'm not sure, but you know, Larry, of course, very successful insurance guy. Married Tip Colley's daughter, you know, and lived here in Troy for years. But of course, what I'm saying, back then, when kids would go off to college from their town, they usually followed certain people, and they went in and played the same fraternity and everything, didn't they?
They did.
But you had a great experience up there, didn't you?
We had Alvin Presswood. Alvin became a very. He was from Roten also.
Yeah.
Alvin became a very successful attorney in Montgomery. We had a lot of successful people.
Yeah, no question
and
about it.
And some that weren't.
That came right through Brundage, Alabama, no question about it. No question. And everybody knows. Well, you know, of course, you mentioned him just a while ago. He's the attorney now, the city attorney in Brundage now.
I mentioned Jimmy Ramage.
No, not Ramage, but a city attorney owns the lumberyard.
Don Dickert.
Don Dickert.
Yeah, my wife's nephew, Don Dickert.
All right. The Don also, you know.
I think about him being a judge.
Everywhere you go, you hear somebody say something good about Don Dickert.
He's a good person.
I mean, he is well known, and of course,
except if you appear for him in court, you know, you might not think he's such a good person.
He's tough, isn't he? Well, it's the way it's supposed to be.
He's a municipal judge.
Yeah.
You know, but,
and of course, he was also a Kappa Sig there.
Absolutely.
And I know there was a lot of proud bunch of Brundage folks that did that. And of course, Ramage.
And of course, my son, Ben Bowden.
That's right.
Was a Kappa Sig. Ben's now the circuit judge in Covington County.
That's right. No question about it. And a fine guy. Mike Amos is on the phone with us from Birmingham this morning. And of course, we got Lawrence Bowden here. And what's going on?
Well, a lot going on in Brundage. First of all, I want to mention to you about luncheon. You know, the June Buggin'. It's an annual event that we have. We say it's for the ladies, but everybody's invited.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of men come to it, and that's Thursday of this week, the 21st. Starts at 12 o'clock noon, and we got Dolores. I got thing in here. Got Dolores Haddock, and she's been there before, and she does a tremendous job of storytelling.
Yeah.
And we have pre-show music, and then Dolores does a good job, and then we have before Dolores comes on, we have lunch.
And that lunch will be good. Normally it's fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and what else?
No, not this time. That's for our come home at supper time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this one is more of a lunch. We'll have chicken salad and that sort of stuff for lunch. But it's really good. And we have the pre-show music, the lunch, and Dolores talking to us, doing a real good job of storytelling. And it's only $20.
Yeah.
And it's a great day. This coming Thursday, 21st. It's really a great day. If you haven't been,
is this
really
coming Saturday?
No, this coming Thursday.
Thursday. I'm sorry. What am I talking about?
21st,
Thursday.
yeah.
21st.
Yeah.
That will be a lot of fun in Brundage, and and they can bring a couple of people with them if they let them know ahead of time, can they?
I was thinking on the way up here that it's a good opportunity to pay back a social obligation.
Sure.
If you've been thinking about taking somebody to lunch,
yeah.
what better time to come and get some good music beforehand, and you get a good lunch.
And the building is air conditioned, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's air conditioned. You'll be cool in there.
Sure will.
This hot South Alabama weather, you'll be cool.
I tell you what, y'all have done so much to enhance your lives in that town. It's always something going on. And
let me give them this number if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
If you want to call and get a ticket for the June Buggin', the 21st, that's this coming Thursday, call this number. Kathy Steed will answer the telephone, and she'll be glad to fix you up and accommodate you with a good table at the June Buggin'.
She's liable also to do your hair, too. Is that right, Kathy Steed?
No, that's Linda.
Oh, Linda, okay.
Linda Steed.
Come home at supper time.
Yeah, Linda's in our play. Come home at supper time. And
come home with June Buggin' just because it's June.
Yeah, well, a long time ago, I don't know, you probably never did this, Mike, but we used to play with June bug. We used to catch them off the fig tree and tie a string around the leg, and we call them flying June bugs.
Now, what's the difference in a June bug and a lightning bug?
Lots of difference. If you don't know that, you've been a city boy all your life. You don't know.
Well, I know what a lightning bug was. In fact, my little granddaughter was catching lightning bugs in Birmingham this weekend, and they would put them in a jar, and they would turn out the lights, and we would look at them turn the lights on and off. And
a June bug is a lot bigger than a
butterfly. I got you.
And they don't glow. They don't light up. But they're a lot of fun. You tie the string to we use thread because it was smaller and wouldn't weigh them down, and you hold the string, and the June bug flies. And it's just if you don't have any toys to play with,
it's kind of like a kite.
Well, no, it's a short string. It's about a couple of feet.
But I've never done that, but I bet that's fun.
Well, it is, and you have to be careful. You don't let them land on something where they can really grab it. And try to pull them off the string because you pull the leg off.
Yeah, I got
so
you.
If they do land on something that's rough surface, so they can really latch onto it.
That's what y'all did. Y'all play kick the can too?
Oh yeah, we played all that kind of stuff. And mumble the peg. You don't know what that is.
But you know what? Back then we all had to come up with something to do, didn't we?
Absolutely. So anyway, Mike, you asked about it. That's where we got the name from, June Buggin'. And if you call this number, Kathy Steed will be glad to fix you up. Like I say, it's only $20.
And that number again, let's see, is 344-9427.
344.
What time do y'all start up on Thursday?
Well, you need to be there around 11:30. Get in, get seated. You have pre-show music, entertain you. And while they're serving the food, you'll have good music. And then when you get through eating, Dolores will come on and keep you entertained for a good period of time. Altogether, it'll take you about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get there at 11:30. You'll be out by 1 o'clock or a little after 1.
Yeah. And something I've already mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, is the annual Independence Day parade.
Absolutely.
A lot of people say, well, gosh, Mike, you say we're moving real fast. Well, I'll tell you how fast we're moving. This weekend is the 23rd. The next weekend is the 30th, and that's when they have the parade. Is that right?
That's right. The Independence Day parade is always the last Saturday in June, so we don't interfere with anybody else's conflicts about it.
And y'all do that as well as anybody in the country.
Well, they do a good job. The BBA really does that, the Brundage Business Association, and we all look forward to it. For example, we'll have an entry in the parade. The Historical Society will have an entry in the parade. And that's who sponsors all this stuff.
And I tell you something, I don't know who came up with it, but it was such a smart idea. You have the Little Miss Queens from all over the Wiregrass and all over Northwest Florida and Southwest Georgia.
That's right.
We're talking about maybe as many as 50 or more junior Miss or little Miss Queens.
It's a big day for them, and then we have a reception for them after the
right.
parade's over with. It's a big day for the Queens, and we appreciate everybody coming, the Queens from all the towns. And
it adds to that parade beautifully, and of course they have their pretty dresses
oh,
on.
yeah,
and,
it's all.
And you could have a little beauty contest if you wanted to. It's really something, but you know.
Well, they all introduced. We all introduced them, and
that's right. That's right, and it's all about people making things happen in Brundage, Alabama. You know something, and I don't mean to put you on the spot here but give us a little indication. We've lost a few people lately that have been inspirations to the city of Brundage as far as making all these events happen. We've lost a few people over the last few years. Who are some of the people that sort of helped establish? I know, of course, you and Janie and that your committee, but there's a lot of other guys out there too.
Well, they are. We've had a lot of good people. Ms. Delatha Mabu, we lost.
Yeah, what a
Mabu.
wonderful lady.
She contributed to everything. If you needed something, you go see Delatha.
Yeah.
She'd make arrangements for it, you know. And
that's a big loss, isn't it?
That's a big loss.
Yeah.
And we just recently also lost Isabel Boyd as our mayor.
Yeah.
And we just lost her husband. Excuse me. He was talking about the school. He was a vice principal, as they called him in those days. And he did a great job down there for the school. He was there during the integration.
Sure.
And did just a wonderful job of helping bring everything together and make sure everything was peaceful and everything happened as it should. He was just a great person. We lost him a few weeks ago.
But of course,
oh, go ahead.
No. And of course, that's going to happen. And but these leaders, we want to recognize them. They were outstanding.
They were, and we've still got a lot of people. But of course, one thing that concerns us is that we don't have too many younger people that want to step up and take these roles. It has to be done. If you want to have things like this,
exactly.
You got to have somebody that's going to lead this thing, And Jane Treble does a great job of that.
Oh, no question. Let me just give you just a little idea. And Frank Sadler Jr., the Big A, you all for him, aren't you?
Real time.
And of course, you're one of the oldest graduates of the University of Alabama in Pike County, wouldn't you say?
Probably.
And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I've known this guy since forever, and he never gets old to me. Of course, you're going to be wearing your seersucker suit Saturday.
No, I'll be wearing something.
And your white bucks. Have you got
patriotic.
You got some white bucks, don't you?
Not anymore.
Yeah. Of course, let me tell you some other things.
And I've had a seersucker suit too.
Yeah, I know you have, and you look good in it. And of course, over the years, ladies and gentlemen, Lawrence Bowden has been so involved with his community and so forth. And a lot of people don't realize that you are also very involved in the military in Brundage for several years. You're a retired lieutenant colonel, is that right?
Full colonel.
Full colonel. Excuse me, full colonel. Excuse me, sir.
Well, I just hung around long enough to get
full colonel.
Well, I'm real proud of our National Guard unit in Brundage. They just deactivated it. You probably didn't pay too much attention to that. And
did they really?
Yeah, the 900. They deactivated it. I started that unit in Brundage. I just come back from Korea, and they were reestablished in the National Guard throughout the state of Alabama. And our representative, House of Representatives, the seat that West has just won, came to see me and asked me if I would head up the formation of the National Guard unit in Brundage. And I thought about it a little bit and told him I'd be glad to do it. So we started the unit in Brundage, and it was one of the most, not from me, but from all the people around Brundage that came into that unit. It was one of the most successful units in the state of Alabama.
Well, I knew that about you, and I knew that what a great job you had done, and of course, as a commander for how many years?
Well, I was there from 1953 until let's see, I believe I left there in '64. I believe.
Isn't that something?
Went to another unit. I stayed in the guard, but I went to
so
another
you,
unit.
you this time of year, you would be going off to camp. Is
Absolutely.
that right?
Yes, sir. We'd be lining up those trucks and pulling out early in the morning.
You know, I tried to get in the guard and failed my physical back when everybody was trying to get in the guard, and then of course, Mike, you never had to go through this, but they say now, I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, that Hattiesburg, Mississippi is the hottest place in the world in the summertime. Is that true?
Absolutely. I can attest to that.
That's where everybody had to go, to Hattiesburg. And, of course, everything was great until you had to go off 2 weeks of what do you call it?
Yeah, and they had to put you in the woods, and it was hot on post, but it was even hotter.
Everything was real nice just going to the drill, but then those 2 weeks every summer came around and they put you out in the woods and with no air conditioning. Is that right?
Yeah, and went to Fort McClellan some too. Fort McClellan.
That was in Jacksonville or Anniston.
Anniston. Mm-hmm. The only thing about Anniston was that Fort McClellan is that, as a friend told me, I took his basic training there, and I later met him in the military, in the Army. But he said that he took his basic training. He said, you're going a 20-mile hike out of Fort McClellan, and he said, you're going a 20-mile hike, you're going to go in a circle, leave out going southeast and make a big circle and come back around and come back into camp.
Yeah.
He said it was uphill all the way.
Oh, gosh. But now, one thing about that place, they had women in the service then.
Oh,
was,
they did.
Was that a WAC base then?
Originally, that was the WAC.
So that was sort of a fun base to go to, wasn't it?
Well, we didn't have much time for that, and they sort of kept the eye on them, too.
You know, they call it the munitions plant is located, Mike, I don't know if you realize this, in Anniston. It was where they stored all a lot of the bombs and the weapons and all that in Anniston, Alabama. Is that still true?
I really don't know how much got left. That's also, interesting enough, is where they stored the nerve gas. That's one of the most deadly components we have in the military. And they had bunkers built out there, and they stored that gas out there. And then back in the late 80s, late 80s, they started making preparations to destroy all that nerve gas.
Yeah.
And Fort McClellan totally closed, or is it parts of it still open?
Fort McClellan, they've still got, excuse me, the government has still got some things going on there, but I don't know what's there militarily anymore. They moved the chemical core there for a while.
Right. And of course, Colonel here, ladies and gentlemen, had been there and done that for, how many years were you in the Guard?
I was in the Guard 28, active duty in the Guard 28 years.
Yeah. And of course, I know you've been proud of it, of your many years of experience. Of course, we're talking today.
Listen, it's being carried on. I've got a grandson that's just finished his first year at Annapolis.
Oh, boy. Isn't that something?
The Naval Academy, yes.
I know you're proud. He grew up in Andalusia, is that right?
Right, from Andalusia, huh?
And, of course, Mike, Andalusia, and Troy play in a baseball tournament down in Luverne tonight. I might try to run down there. You know, Andalusia did not play in that league for a long time, and now started back playing this Dixie Boys, and making it a lot stronger. They always play good baseball down there.
Yeah, we went to Annapolis. Dad and I did, and visited up there. That's a beautiful place.
We played the University of Maryland, and we went down to Annapolis, coldest place I think I've ever been in my life. Oh man, you remember that, Mike?
Yeah, we were up there watching Troy play Maryland in football, but got to go through the Naval Academy and all that. It was pretty awesome.
And to sit where George Washington sat.
I think built in 1777.
Yeah, that's right. It's one of the oldest places in the United States. You're right.
Mm-hmm. It's and the town itself there is a beautiful place. Yeah.
All right, we're talking about June bugging, and this coming up. What's the actual date on this?
This Thursday.
This Thursday,
the 21st.
The 21st, and it's going to be a great.
At 12 o'clock noon. Yeah. You need to call Kathy Steed at this number. We'll give you 344-9427. If you can see this, call Kathy. She'll be glad to fix you up. The tickets are only $20. You get pre-show music while you're eating. You got the lunch, a really good lunch, and then Dolores Haddock, a great storyteller from Birmingham, Alabama, will be telling you a wonderful story. It's a great luncheon. It's a great hour and a half of entertainment. And as I was just saying, it's a great way to pay back a social obligation. If you've been wanting to take somebody to lunch and need to take them to lunch, a business acquaintance or somebody, it's just a great way to do it. You can't go to any restaurant around here and for $20 get all this, you know.
No question about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I tell you what, when they do it down in Brundage, they're going to do it right. And I mean, it's going to be, I jump at the opportunity to go to an event down there. You know, of course, this June Bugging is one of your big events. Then this weekend, well, in 2 weeks, that Saturday morning, the Independence Day Parade. If you
9 o'clock, you need to be there standing on the sidewalk.
That's right. If you want to get in the real spirit of the season, and that's the 4th of July. No, we're fine, though. Thank you, Frank. Frank Jr. Providing coffee this morning. Do you want a cup?
Yes, please.
Yes, please, Frank. Frank Sadler Sr., of course, now is in Chattanooga at a assisted living facility.
I was wondering this morning where he was. I miss him.
I do too. All right, and I plan on, listen to this, Frank, I plan on going by to see him in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be heading to the mountains, and I'm going to go right through there.
Great. Tell him I said hello, if you would, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Frank Sadler, you going fishing for perch this weekend?
No, too hot.
Too hot? Okay.
And then let me quickly run down our schedule for the year. For the,
please.
The Historical Society in Brundage is also the big event coming up, 2 big events coming up. The last Saturday in October is our annual Peanut Butter Festival. It's a big event. People come from all over the country to the Peanut Butter Festival in Brundage. We celebrate the making of peanut butter. In 1928, the Johnson family was one of the very first, if not the first, place in the United States that made commercial peanut butter.
Yeah. Was that Larry's family?
No.
Oh, it was not Larry Johnson's family.
Okay,
I got you. Yeah, I got you.
And
that building is still standing in it. That building's still standing in it.
Well, the original building where they made the first peanut butter is still standing. We operate it as a little museum, and it's open and during the Peanut Butter Festival. But you'll have a great time. There's no admission charge. You just come, and as I tell people, if you spend any money, it's to buy something to take home with you or buy something to eat. We have great vendors and
Every
stuff.
time I go down there and walk on Main Street, I buy something. I'm telling you, those shops there are really, really fun to shop.
They are. And then the next week and the following week, we have 3 nights each week of Come Home at Supper Time. And
that is wonderful.
It's a folk life play of Alabama. A lot of people don't know that, but it's the official, adopted by the state legislature as the folk life play of Alabama.
All right, this year when you start, and what's the date on that? That'll be in November.
The first and second, first full week and the second full week in November. 3 days each.
Now you've been in this play for how many years?
16 years.
16 years.
We've been doing it 16 years.
Has that enhanced your life? Being involved in that?
Well, very, very definitely. It's been a great part of my life that time. I don't do as much in it as we did when we first started.
Well, you're not the lead guy anymore like you used to be.
Well, I am that, but what I'm talking about is that the behind the scenes is what takes all the time and everything. Exactly. The practicing and all that sort of stuff, and the shavings have to be changed, and the place has to be cleaned up, and the restrooms have to be cleaned, and all that. That falls to us to do those chores, and it takes all the props and everything has to be freshened up and taken care of. And it takes about we have to start. Well, we've already started talking about the plate, and we've already started. We'll be mailing out the notices to the vendors for the Peanut Butter Festival next in July. July the 15th is our date. We mail out our notices. So it takes a long time to do this. It takes a lot of commitment, a lot of dedication among all the people who do that. But there's 2 of us that started 16 years ago in it and have been in every production.
Isn't that amazing? Now, who is that?
Johnny Steed.
You and Johnny Steed. Who would ever thought Johnny Steed was going to be a hit on Broadway? And I tell you what, this theater production, it is as well done as any you'll find anywhere, and they do it twice a year, in the fall and in the spring.
That's right.
And you thoroughly enjoy it, don't you?
I do. It's as I tell people, we fuss, and it takes 40-something people to do this thing.
Sure, yeah.
And as I tell them, we fuss and cuss at each other till opening night. When people start applauding and laughing,
Exactly.
and it's all worthwhile.
Well, I tell you this: the unusual thing about it is all of the whole theme is built around old Brundage and true things that happened in old Brundage. I mean, like the two men that walked into the wrong house one night when there was a guy being buried.
Yeah, sitting up with the dead.
Tell them how that went, and that's got to be one of the funniest scenes you'll see in that whole production.
Well, it's an actual event.
But this was true, and it happened.
Our town doctor, Dr. Killingsworth, who incidentally delivered me.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
And Dr. Killingsworth was at home. Back then we took the bodies home.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
They stayed there at least one night overnight. And people would come, family and close friends would come and sit up all night. Somebody would stay there all
that
night.
dead body was sort of scary sitting up there up front.
Well, it was a sign of respect.
Yeah.
That you stayed. Somebody stayed up.
Sure.
Well, usually some close friends. The family would usually go to bed late in the night.
Yeah.
Try to get what rest they could, but some close friends would spend the night. In this particular case, Dr. Killingsworth's body was lying in his living room, and these two men from Brundage, one of them Mr. Walter Bass, who ran a store there for years, were coming to sit up with Dr. Killingsworth, and they mistakenly went in the house next door to Dr. Killingsworth. And as the line in the play says, back in those days, you didn't lock your door. People would talk about you if you locked your front door. So they just opened the front door and went into the parlor and sat down. The two ladies in the house, one was the mother mother and daughter, had been over to Dr. Killingsworth's house, helping in the kitchen, and everything, and they'd come home worn out and getting ready to go to bed when one of them happened to peek into the living room and saw these two men sitting in there. And that's the story.
Scared them to death, is that right?
Yeah.
And,
it's the actual thing.
And all of these portrayals were just so unique. And, of course, the great, you can't talk about anything going on in Brundage without mentioning Janie Treadwell. And she was sort of the mindset behind a lot of this. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. She, we talked about it. And incidentally, my wife has been was started in it too 16 years ago. And she's still in it today, but she missed two productions because she was sick. But she's still in it, and we got two other people that started with us, but they had to miss the production. But we've had hundreds of people in the cast and crew making it work since that time. And we owe a lot to those people. We really do.
Which it's just every year.
But Janie, let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
Jane Treadwell said to me, we'd been over to Georgia to see Swamp Gravy, and Jane Treadwell said to me, we can do something like this in Brundage. And me being as brilliant as I am, I said, Jane, there's no way we could do anything like this in Brundage. I mean, we just don't have the people who have the know-how or anything to do this. And Jane perseveres. And she kept on, so she got this thing going. We had 2 meetings getting started and asked somebody from Swamp Gravy to come over and give us a little advice. The second meeting was held in the living room of our house, Sarah's home. And we finalized it there in our house and started it.
And the rest is history.
And then we started meeting at the Brundage Methodist Church until we got the building fixed up.
Maybe the sweetest thing, and I might get emotional talking about it, maybe the sweetest thing, though, I think I've ever heard in my entire life, and of course my little granddaughter right now sings it, just unreal. But it was a night they turned out the lights. And it was solid black inside, just as dark as it could be. They turned out the lights, and then you started hearing this little voice saying, Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. And that was your granddaughter.
Yes, it was.
Did you cry? You had to have cried.
Well, it was
that something?
Something, yeah.
And y'all do that every year.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the sweetest thing that you'll ever hear in pitch black dark now, a little voice of a child singing Jesus Loves Me.
She was six years old, I believe, 5 or 6, yeah.
And it is just really amazing all the joys that you've gotten over the years through this. I call it a ministry, to tell you the truth.
Well, you know, Sarah, my wife, and I sit there sometimes along the wall waiting for our time and everything. And we remarked later that we enjoy it just as much as we did as the people do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we still like it.
And it is well done. And people, let me tell you, they've had critics, movie theater people come in and say, "How do you do this?" or "How did y'all do this?" And I mean, it's just been remarkable how well this has been done. Come home at sometime. And now it's not over with yet. Now they do that production in the spring and in the fall. And then you've got Christmas.
Then in December, we have a Christmas program.
Which is wonderful.
Chili Country Christmas.
Yeah, Chili Country Christmas.
Usually the first week in December, getting everybody in the mood for Christmas. And we have homemade chili on each table, and we have storytellers or some Christmas program. We had our own Christmas program one year. My same granddaughter cut curls out on the Christmas.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. And I went to that production, and this little girl through the entire thing was making paper strings.
Like that.
Change. And she did it the whole time. And then at the end of the performance, I mean, it was just all over the place. And she had done that right there while we've been doing it. Yeah. And I know that was a thrill too, wasn't it?
It was. And then following that, we have in January, the last weekend in January, we have the Storytelling Festival.
Yeah, which is wonderful.
It is. We have 4 of the greatest storytellers in the country that come and tell stories. And we start off in our theater in Brundage on Friday night, and we have the regular supper
and everything,
down there. And the 4 storytellers each one of them tells a different story, of course. And then, and that's great. They say that our place down there is one of the most unique venues in the country. They play all over
and they go all over the place.
Yeah, and they like to come down there because they say it's so unique. But anyway, then Saturday we come up to Troy University.
Exactly.
And we have the Trojan Center auditorium.
It's perfect for that type
It is. It's really great. And we have 3 sessions there, morning, afternoon, and night. And the storytellers tell a different story for each one of the 3 programs. They tell a story in the morning, a different story in the afternoon, and a different story
at night. So a lot of people that buy it for every session.
Is that right? They buy tickets for every session. Yeah. And it's great. The people enjoy. They come from, Birmingham and all over the place, Atlanta and places.
And this is big time. And again, Janie would not leave it alone. Like Ben Beard wouldn't leave Division 1A alone. That's right. Janie would not leave this alone.
That's right.
That said we can do this in Pike County, and sure enough, these folks. I think the storytellers looking forward to coming here. Is that
They do.
Right?
We've had one that's been coming. I think it's 10 years we've been doing this, and he's one of the foremost storytellers in the country. And,
name is Donald Davis. See, now I'm just on the outside, but I sure know who he is.
That's right.
And let me tell you this, something about him. He makes you smile from the word. I mean, his facial experience. I mean, he doesn't really have to say anything, but I mean, and that's the way a true entertainer to me is that he can make you laugh without even opening his mouth. But the way he presented things, it's just unreal.
He's really good.
Yeah. I mean, and he's good to have last on the agenda because the other 3 are good, but this guy is a superstar.
Yes, absolutely. So that's a course of a year, and getting back to what's right in front of us, the day after tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, next day's Thursday, and you want to call right now if you haven't already got your ticket. You want to call Kathy and say, Kathy, I need 2 tickets, or look, I got 3 friends that's coming to town, or I've been wanting to take Molly to lunch for 3 or 4 weeks, and I heard Lawrence yapping about this on the Amos's show, and so I want 2 tickets. I want 4 tickets.
That's right.
It's $20 a ticket, and you can't beat it. If you got somebody to entertain, or if you just want to entertain yourself,
it's wonderful.
It's worth. You can't get that kind of food and entertainment for $20 anywhere. It's just great. Dolores Hydock, she's a great storyteller from Birmingham, Alabama, and she's going to be there. We'll have good entertainment to go along with us, a lot of good music and so forth. And then we're going to have some really good lunch, chicken salad. You want me to tell you where they're going to make a chicken salad?
Yeah, yes, sir.
the hospital.
Oh, really? Is it that good?
Yeah, the cafeteria at the hospital.
Oh, yeah, it is
makes
good.
Chicken salad.
Well, their fried chicken is good too. A lot of the people I go to church with, that's where they eat Sunday lunch.
Yeah.
And it is
Well, their
delicious.
chicken salad is really good.
Yeah, it is.
And so they're going to be making the chicken salad for our lunch, and you're going to thoroughly enjoy it. If you just, but don't wait too late now. You got to call Kathy at this number, 344-9427.
Yeah.
If you can see this, 344-9247.
Yeah.
Call Kathy. You
You
won't
know-
be sorry of it. I guarantee you.
You know, a lot of my old friends, hopefully, are watching our show today, and there are a lot of people that have known me over the years, growing up here in Troy, and been, getting excited about different things that are happening in Troy. And this guy right here has made so many things happen, or has helped so many things happen in the Brundage area. And I met him first time I ever met you. I knew who you were, and of course, you're Bowden from Brundage. You and AB and Alec, and
That's
it was
right.
your nephew. Is that right?
Alec is my nephew.
Yeah,
He's the ball player.
Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, this guy ought to make all of you stronger today. You're 88. How old are you?
Well, I'm only really 57. I just look older because
Yeah,
of all this
I
playing
know.
this I do all the
Uh,
time. I'm 89.
89 years old, ladies and gentlemen. Lawrence Bowden. Did you know that, Mike?
What? I'm sorry, I just came on.
No, all right. Hey, good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, it's me.
Okay, Mike Amos calling. Lawrence Bowden just told me he's 89 years old. Man, I want to be just like you. Lord, give me 89. I'll sign the paperwork right now. But
You got
Hey,
18
I
more
consider
years
that
to
a
go, too.
compliment, and I thank you for
well,
it.
I knew you when you had jet black hair.
Well, that was a long time ago. You know me a long time if you knew that.
But these things have enhanced your life. I mean, you and your wife both, and your friends, and living in the community. But it's given you something to not only do but look forward to. Is that right?
Well, it does, and especially since I retired, everybody that's getting ready to retire needs to look for something to do. If you don't have something to do when you retire, you just sort of.
But you
so you
take
need-
such good care of yourself. I'm going to ask him this. This is very important. What is it that you do? Now, I know you stay busy and so forth, but what do you think your secret is to be 89 years old and be active?
I picked out good parents.
Okay, good genes. Sorry, so you're saying genes first. You're right.
I don't know.
How old was your
I'm
daddy?
just-
How
I'm
old
just-
was your daddy when he died?
He was 87, I believe. I don't know. I'm just lucky. I mean, I don't know. I really don't.
But you still
I laughingly tell people like you when you ask me what it is. I tell them I eat a lot of onions and drink a lot of coffee.
Well, you know what? My grandmother lived to be right at 100. Miss Ida Amos was my grandmama. Emma Lou Renfro and Rebel Amos were her children. But she lived to be about 98. But she did eat onions almost every day.
Well, they're good for you. There's no doubt about
exactly,
that.
yeah.
Absolutely. But I don't know. I eat most anything I want to, but in the last, last 20, 25 years or so, I've kind of cut down on eating as much meat as I used to.
Yeah, I got you.
Are you a big walker or exerciser or
No,
stretching
you're
or
not,
anything
you're
like
not big on that, are you?
No, not much.
He still walks down on
walk the-
Friday night to get that catfish at Crow's, Mike. See, he still can get Crow's anytime he wants it.
Yeah, that's right.
And you get that catfish. Tell us about
The
that.
2 catfish. I mean, you get 2 whole
if
catfish.
2 whole catfish. My wife loves catfish.
Well, if you go down and if you want to bring it back home, you
Yeah.
just get one.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah and I just get one plate. She eats a
Yeah,
catfish,
exactly,
and I eat a
yeah.
catfish, and we split the fish.
And what day is that usually?
On the
Saturday or
weekend. It's on the weekend.
On the
but
weekend.
Yeah, usually Friday night and Saturday.
And do they?
A lot of people go to the Crows in Brundage. I have a lot of friends that do that. They always say that's the best Crows there is in Brundage.
See, he would
we eat it's good fried chicken, and then the catfish is really good. And we eat catfish just about every weekend.
Isn't that something? And of course, and it's big. It's big catfish or smaller catfish?
Big piece of catfish.
Oh man,
big catfish.
Oh man, that sounds good. I'm gonna have to start going down there and get stuff. Cause I like now Andalusia. Of course, you got a son that lives in Andalusia.
Mm-hmm.
They have a catfish restaurant.
That's
all
right.
all you can eat catfish restaurant. One of the old fashioned.
I believe it's David's Catfish Restaurant. I believe is the
Yeah.
name of it. We go down there. Our son takes us there to eat. I have a daughter lives there too, as well.
Nice
And,
town.
She's retired, partially retired from AUM. And
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the rest of the story. Bowden's Restaurant, located between here and Troy. When I was a young married guy, my wife and I went down there quite often to eat. You know, there was a whole motel there and then restaurant, and it was all the catfish you could eat. But those were those little bitty catfish, and I'd pile up the bones that high sometime. And old Dago Dozier would be sitting right over there next to me. He'd be down there almost every time. Was he related to you?
No, Dago was a really...
No, the Bowden.
Oh, he's my brother.
Oh, gosh. Are you serious?
Yeah, he's my oldest brother.
Is he still living?
Oh, no, he's been dead several years.
But do you remember going to his restaurant?
Absolutely. Let me tell you.
I mean, it was wonderful.
He started his first restaurant in Brundage.
Yeah, okay.
He had 2 locations in Brundage before, and he went out of the restaurant for a while and then opened up the place out on the highway out there. I started working for him in the restaurant when I was 11 years old.
Oh, did you really?
And,
that hamburger steak was good too, real good.
Yeah.
And
well, we always had the blue plate special, you know, and people would travel for good distance around because you had vegetables.
Yeah.
And you got the blue plate special. I think it was 3 vegetables and a meat.
Yeah.
For something like 35 cents.
Exactly. Oh gosh. But that was a wonderful restaurant. It was J.B. Bowden's restaurant.
Yeah, motel and restaurant.
Yeah, and then on up the street was the motel up there that had the restaurant, and that what restaurant was that?
That was here in
yeah, I know it was in Troy.
In Troy, yeah.
Where you could
Ingram's was
no, it wasn't Ingram's, but it was where you could sit there and eat your steak and watch the drive-in movie.
Yeah, across the street.
Not Bowden. What was his name? Golly, I know him very well. but that Bowden's restaurant in Brundage, a lot of people went to it, and the reason, and I'm joking about Dago Dozier, he lived just right up the road, and he and his wife ate almost every meal there. They
ate there a lot, but also Dago was a hard-working businessman. He had a beer franchise when my brother had the cafe in Brundage, and we sold beer, and he delivered beer to the and sold it to my brother there at the cafe.
Exactly.
And he had come on the beer truck and unload the beer and everything. But that's he and my brother got to be good friends.
Exactly.
But also, Dago was a hard worker and a good businessman.
Yeah.
A lot of times when he was down there at my brother's, at least once a week, he had what we call the rockolas. You know,
exactly.
Machines.
I've got one in my den. Yeah.
Well,
or my basement.
He had those. He had them out in different places, and he would come down and eat supper, and he would service that rockola.
Exactly. Yeah.
He'd take the money out of it and change records and stuff like that while he was eating supper.
And back then, those machines did well. We had one in the teenage canteen in Troy. You probably went to the canteen.
But they had, they had at the tables, they had a place where you could play, put your money in, and then they had a machine.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Old Pike County. I hope you're enjoying it this morning. Of course, we're also talking about the June Buggy Festival going on in Brundage on Thursday for a great meal and all that, and we appreciate it. Of course, Lawrence Bowden's our guest, and the reason I say I've known this guy for a pretty long time. I worked with ADECA, the Department of Economic and Community Affairs in Montgomery. I retired with that with them, and of course we work not only with the existing industry, and we help introduce industry to our part of the state. But when the big event happened in Elba back in the early 90s, when the flood hit Elba. Mm-hmm. And right. You were working
the first one I had.
And you worked for many years with the Department of Emergency Management. Is that right?
It started off as a civil defense department, and then we changed our name to Emergency Management.
And you've been to some of the biggest, and Mike, some of the biggest disasters in Alabama state history. Lawrence Bowden had been right in the middle of, and you were right in the middle of this one. And this was a terrible flood in Elba. People didn't realize how much damage it did.
That's right. The water came up downtown. The levee broke and water came up downtown. Just sort of wiped out the downtown.
And this guy came in and started telling everybody what to do, and he had jet black hair, and he was a handsome dude. And he got on a boat.
White hair didn't change.
He got on a boat and went all over the town, and it was no new thing to him. Disasters, because he'd been to all of them.
I know that was a disastrous flood. I mean, was there any loss of life? I can't remember.
I don't know if there was any loss of life, but it was a lot of loss of property.
I don't remember.
Do you remember when it
lost
broke?
Life in Elba, I don't think so.
Was you there when it actually broke?
I was in the Emergency Operations Center in Montgomery.
In Montgomery, and of course.
I remember seeing pictures of that when I was a kid on WSFA.
Now I worked down there they sent me down there to work as a liaison between the city of Elba and the state government and federal government, and I was right involved in it. Don Hines was my boss at the time. You remember Don?
I remember Don, yeah.
And what a great job they did, and your group did a fabulous job. But boy, it would break your heart to see these Elba folks going through what they went through.
It is. It's heart-rending to see people lose everything they got.
Yeah. I mean, and it was just like they opened up, Mike, had a big bowl here, and it just opened up. And
filled it up with water.
That's right. And it could possibly happen again one day.
Well, it happened again, in 90.
That's right, yeah.
About 3 or 4 years later, I forgot.
And they built that levee. You see those people walking across the top of that levee. Well, let me tell you this. Without that levee, Elba could be in trouble. The Whitewater Creek, which flows right down the road here, that was one of the rivers that caused the flood.
Mm-hmm.
But out of all the...
Yeah, when you go to Elba now, I notice now that they built a little highway where you bypass downtown now.
Yeah, why is that?
Where they shoot you up going like you're going to Enterprise, and then you cut across like the Sanford that way. You don't even go through downtown Elba anymore going to the beach. It's actually
that's US 84. They haven't completed it yet.
Right.
They're still working on a big bridge there, and about 2 to 3 miles of the highway itself to go around.
And I don't know how much of a shortcut it's going to be, but it's
it's definitely a shortcut.
But it could hurt business going in, but
the whole time you never stop.
Well, it wasn't through traffic. It's always people on both sides are arguing about where the through traffic, but most of your through traffic, they may a little bit of them stop in town, but not a lot of them. And there's nothing in Andalusia. I mean, in Elba.
But Mike, he was. Let me just say this: he was right in the middle of one of the biggest hurricanes of all, and we named your sister after that hurricane, Camille. Do you remember Camille?
Absolutely.
Tell us about Camille and how bad it was. Camille, it was Mike. This was a terrible flood.
Camille was worse in Mississippi than it was in Alabama. But that was the first one I worked. That was the first hurricane that I worked, and man, it did a tremendous. We weren't accustomed to anything like that in our working lifetime, Well, and so it was a learning process for us as well for the state.
People woke up, Mike, 2 or 3 miles inland with a big boat in their backyard, or what I'm saying, it just flooded everything, and it just went right through that town. And that old hotel that everybody went to for years and years, my father-in-laws went to with conventions there all the time. It just blew it away,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really, really bad for Mississippi, and we got a lot of damage in Alabama, but we sort of helped originate the assistance from the state, and we contributed a lot to what the federal government ideas they got. That was the first big disaster that we had responded to in Alabama.
I remember one of the most inland storms inland that actually came through northwest Florida and then came all the way up through Troy was not too terribly long ago, probably 20 years ago, where it just blew almost every tree down in my neighborhood, and we just watched it.
That was Opal.
Was that Opal? Opal was that was a mean storm.
Tell him it was a little over 20 years ago.
Yeah, a little over 20 years ago. But I tell you what, that was a mean storm, wasn't it?
We had winds of 73 miles an hour in Auburn, Alabama.
Yeah, I know exactly. And that's what was so scary.
I was 19 years old when an Opal came through, because I remember it was about 23 years ago.
Me and the late, great Hobson Shirey, he was my next door neighbor, and everybody loved Hobson Shirey, stood there. No, wait, no, not a Shire. Already moved to Fort Payne. This was my buddy.
It was Buddy Starling.
Buddy Starling, yeah, not Magnus Starling, but Mr. Starling that lived right next door to me. We stood there and watched big trees just blown down, and I said, what was his name, Mike? Mr. Starling was banker, Troy Banker, Trust Company banker for years and years.
I can't remember, but I remember you told him to move his car.
But I told him, I said, you better move your car. And in a minute, here comes the tree down, and he had just moved his car. Yeah, which it was just unreal. You just said, "Oh, there it comes down." You thought your whole house was going to blow away, you know. But the thing that was so scary about that storm was, Mike, I don't know if you remember this, but it was almost as bright day, and it was really in the middle of the night. But the skies were just like it was daytime, and it was 2:00 in the morning. That was sort of spooky about it too.
Well, storms are very devastating. They can come in a lot of forms and stuff. But the big thing is that people need to pay attention and be prepared and do what the governmental authorities tell them to do when it's time to get out, so forth. I tell people about the hurricane evacuation. People don't want to leave. I said it's a lot better to waste a day and a half.
Well, I know this.
And a tank of gasoline to get out of the way, and then start burying people.
Exactly. And now they've got more highways that they call hurricane. What is it? Passageway. What I'm saying, they're roads that are designated as hurricane.
Yes, evacuation routes.
Evacuation routes.
Let me tell you a really bad story. People need to get out of the way.
Okay.
1935, I believe it was 1935, we had a huge hurricane that hit Key West, Florida.
Yeah.
And came on up.
Well, you were just a young man at 35, weren't you?
And destroyed the bridge and everything, and did a lot of damage in South Florida. But it just wiped out everything in Key West. Killed 500 people.
Isn't that amazing?
Because people
would not get out.
Well, they didn't know then. They didn't have the warning and everything we have today. So they were just there. And this huge water, wave of water just came in, like you was talking about, just piled up.
Oh, it's amazing.
Well, let me tell you this. A lot of people don't know about this. I knew the sheriff's daughter. She was married to a FEMA person I knew. And the sheriff at that time, they had so many bodies, and they didn't have the refrigeration or everything to take care of them.
Oh, man.
I'm not going to tell you what they did with them, but it was awful what that sheriff had to do with those 500 bodies.
Isn't that amazing?
Piled up down there.
Oh, man. That's
but today, we've had huge hurricanes hit, but because we were prepared for them and people got out, we had adequate warning, good plans and everything. I think it was Hurricane Frederick, which was the most devastating.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one well, yeah.
It was the most devastating storm to hit Alabama, and one of the most devastating storms at that time to hit the United States, and did extensive damage in Alabama. And we just written a new set of plans for all the agencies.
Oh,
that's
boy.
one reason your agency was so
Sure,
involved.
yeah, that's right.
And we only lost 2 people.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and one of them was a small child at the mobile home was being washed away.
It was unreal. The pecan industry, it just it almost completely destroyed the pecan industry. So they just mowed these pecan trees down, but then they realized something that they could do. They could push those pecan trees back up. You remember that?
I well remember because I called Auburn Extension Service and asked them what we could do about all those pecan trees in Baldwin County. And they said if you'd cut the limbs off of them and push them back up, they were just over like that. They were still rooted in the ground. They said push them back, cut the limbs off of them, push them back up, put a 6-inch pipe in the ground about 4 or 5 feet down, and water them in that pipe that they would live and grow and reproduce.
Mike,
that's crazy. That's crazy. That really works.
Mike, you remember out there Ben Beard's horse stables where they lost all those pecan trees, and they took a bulldozer and pushed them back up, and they most of them lived, But until that time, they didn't know what to do, did they?
No, but Auburn
was a huge industry.
Auburn was the one told us the Extension Service told us the one we could do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Did you ever think we'd live in a world where a bag of pecans at the grocery store is $8, $9? Pretty amazing.
Hey, no question about it. And let me tell you, pecans were big with me growing up and everything. And of course, Lawrence Bowden's our guest today, all 89 years old. When will you turn 90?
July the 16th.
July the 16th. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to self-proclaim July the 16th as Lawrence Bowden Day. You turn into Big 9-0, is that right?
That's right.
But you feel good, don't you?
I was at Durham Farms the other day, Dad, and they had those little pecan pies you like so much. The place in Clanton.
Oh yeah, I do. In fact, I had I got some ice cream there yesterday. Well, in fact, what I got a peach sundae. You ever stop in Clanton? You go up there with much?
I lived up there for a couple of years, right above the Peach Park.
That's where y'all's office was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wish we built that new center up there.
Exactly right.
I was the.
But I'll tell you this right now, and this is storm season, and people need to definitely beware of storms and take precautions. Don't take any chances. And you know, Mike, how many times have you stayed down at the beach? In fact, your mom and I stayed down there not too long ago, where we met with some heavy winds then.
Yeah, the tropical storm a few weeks ago.
Yeah, no question about it.
Listen, I can tell people, you can rebuild a house. If you stay in there to take care of that, don't do that. You can rebuild a house, but you cannot bring somebody back to life that's dead.
No question about it.
And you stay there, and you endanger your children, you endanger everybody that stays there. And there's not a thing in the world you can do except sit there and look at it when it happens. So it's much better to use a tank of gasoline and rent you a motel room in Birmingham or somewhere and get the heck out of the way. Now,
you're also endangering the people that are trying to come save you.
Well, you do. People. I've had a lot of interesting experiences. We don't have time to go through it, but
I know you have.
But get out. Get the heck out.
He's been through more disasters than any one man around. And of course, in fact, when there was a disaster out in Texas or Louisiana, you went out there, didn't you?
I went to Mississippi and I went to South Carolina to Hurricane Hugo, which was a huge.
That was a big one.
Huge storm. Yeah. I went up there.
Yeah, your Uncle Bill, his dad's brother, was there when Hugo came through.
Oh yeah, no question about it.
Yeah, I went up there and stayed. FEMA asked me to come up and help.
Exactly. Well, you've been around a long time. You know, of course, you know about the terrible tornado in Tuscaloosa. And Michael, thank goodness, was out of town when this happened. He just happened to be in Birmingham.
I was working that day, but I was dating a girl in Birmingham, and I actually drove over on that Wednesday to go to Birmingham to go to dinner.
And the storm came through.
And the storm came through on 15th Street where I lived, and everything around me was gone.
And of course, that was a popular street, 15th Street. Had that 15th Street diner, you remember that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're right, and God just told you to be gone, and that was wonderful.
I was working at the University of Alabama, and I came back the next day, and literally on campus we got a report that there was like 1,000 people that they couldn't get in touch with on their cell phones because everybody's cell phone, the towers were all down in Tuscaloosa. So at the time, you didn't know
scary.
How many people had lost lives at the time. I mean, it ended up being over 50 deaths in that storm in Tuscaloosa.
And it was a regular afternoon, and Johnny Williams, of course, former athletic director here at Troy, he lives in Tuscaloosa, was riding down the street, Mike, and he saw it coming and got off the beaten path. But, it can just happen that quick.
That was the third, if I remember correctly, that was the third tornado that hit Tuscaloosa through the years that I recall. It was by far the worst.
Yeah.
If that would have hit DCH Hospital on campus, which it just narrowly missed, I mean, there would have been thousands of deaths.
Yeah.
Well, the storm that we had in Jacksonville recently at Jacksonville University, if school had been in, no telling how many kids could have been in danger, Mike.
There's no doubt. Yeah, spring break.
No question about it. Of course, Lawrence, you've been with us the whole day, and we're so glad to have you, man. And
well, I thank you for letting me appear, and I hope that.
And of course, when I mention '89, I just think it's wonderful.
Well, I do too.
And the thing about
you'll have to come on and celebrate your 90th birthday.
I know. Yeah, I wish you would. I'm gonna keep that date down. Is it the 16th?
16th of my birthday.
Yeah, I remember that. So I'm not completely out of it yet. But Lawrence Bowden, of course, is a dear friend of mine, and We've been up here many times together, haven't we?
We have, and I always appreciate you letting me come up and talk about what we're doing in Brundage.
Well, I tell you what, and I know you're proud of it. I would like to mention a man's name, Tombo Brantley. How's Tombo doing? Do you know?
Last I heard from Tombo, he lives in Dothan.
Yeah.
And he was doing well. I don't hear from him very often.
One of the top criminal lawyers in the country. Mm-hmm. Trial lawyers. That's what I should say. Mm-hmm. But under the weather a little bit, but he is doing better. Is that right?
As far as I know, I don't. As time passes and people pass on and everything, you don't have the same contact. Yeah. But anyway, the last I heard from him, he was doing.
Now the Bowden family is one of the oldest families in Brundage and in Pike County. Is that right?
If you got time, let me tell you a little story.
All right, yeah, I will.
Tom Smart was my best friend in high school in Brundage, and we lived right next door to each other in Brundage. We got ready to go to the university. Mr. and Ms. Smart took us to the university. And with our luggage and everything.
That wasn't Zuby Smart, was it?
No, it's
okay, she taught. All right, okay.
Ms. Ethel Smart, she's the one, and my wife.
Ethel Smart taught school in Troy, didn't she?
No.
Okay, I got you.
She not in your lifetime.
Okay, I got you.
But I think she did teach school for a while in early life, but she was a welfare lady.
Yeah, okay,
she's the one that my wife portrays into play.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
She and Mr. Reynolds took us to the university, and Mr. Rankin McClure was dean of the School of Education at that time at the University of Alabama, and they knew him.
Yeah.
So they took us to the education building, thinking it would help us to know somebody, you know. So they took us and they went in and got Dean McClure, and he came out. I remember he came out so he could talk to us without being bothered, and he came out on the sidewalk, and I remember Reynolds Smart introducing me. And he introduced me, and he said, called him my name, says, "This is Lawrence Bowden." Now, Mr. McClure knew all about Pike County. I mean, because he had relatives and everything.
McClure, there was a McClure family. He was a long-time banker here in town.
Well, this family that he was kin to lived out between here and Brundage.
Okay.
Okay, but anyway, when he introduced me, he said to Dean McClure, he said, "This is Lawrence Bowden." And he said, he comes from one of the oldest families in Pike County. And I didn't know what he was talking about. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, well, how does he know that? You know?
Yeah.
And anyway, I don't know how long my family has been in Pike County. But you're absolutely correct. And it doesn't mean anything except that some of his relatives happened to later own some of the same land that my forefathers homesteaded. Yeah. But in 1824, my great-great-grandfather moved from North Carolina to right outside of Brundage for Williams's Chapel. You know where Williams's Church is?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. That's named after my great-great-grandfather, was Williams, Jonathan Williams.
I got you. Okay.
And he came there in 1824. He started out in Connecticut. In 1776, he joined the Revolutionary Army in Connecticut. And he was 15 years old.
Oh, gosh.
And he served in the Revolutionary Army, wound up somehow down in North Carolina, and then when they drove the Creek Indians out of this area down here, he came down and homesteaded some of the land down here out from Williams's Church out there. And so that's what Mr. Smart was telling him, that my family had been down here. Now the Bowdens came along because after they, what they said was they cleared the land. That is, they cut the trees down and pulled the stumps out, which is a hard job.
That was harder back then, especially, wasn't it?
Well, they didn't have equipment, but mules and hand work.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, after Jonathan Williams did that, he hitched up his wagon and went all the way back to North Carolina. Now, if you can imagine traveling he'd already come down here.
And that was hilly country, too.
Oh, yeah, and rivers and creeks and everything else. He went back up there to North Carolina to get his daughter, Elizabeth, because she had married Richard Bowden. And when Jonathan
Williams... That's where the Bowden came from, is that right?
That's right. When Jonathan left North Carolina, he left his daughter Elizabeth up there and married to Richard Bowden. And so after he got the land cleared and they put in a crop, he hitched up and went all the way back to North Carolina and got his daughter Elizabeth and Richard and brought them back to Williams's Church. The first original Williams Church was built by my great-great-grandfather Richard Bowden and some slaves.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, this side of the original Windham Church. Interesting history. Not that there was anything special about them, but it was just part of that movement that people came off the East Coast and places up there because they could get free land down here, and they kept on moving and moving and moving. But this was part of it.
And that's something, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it right here on Today in L.A. Now the Clay Hill, is it Clay? No,
Clay Hill.
Is that where we have the big Christmas 12th day of Christmas?
Mm-hmm.
And is that your old family land out there?
No, although the part of our history is that Jonathan settled originally around Pronto up there, around Clay Hill, but later moved. Some of the history says he moved down to Williams Church.
Another old family was the Darrell family. Is that right, down at Clay Hill, or what?
The Darrells were across the road. They still own property across the road there. You know John Darrell? You know,
I know him
what
well.
I'm talking about. Well, John is back home. He's been been in the hospital in Birmingham.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he just came back home last week.
Of course, a lot of people don't realize he used to be one of the head people with
Alpha. Absolutely.
And a great man. Our prayers and thoughts are with him. Hope he's doing well.
He
Thank you so much, my friend.
Well, thank you.
And they call it June Buggy, and it's going to be Thursday.
Call this number if you haven't already got your tickets. You're going to miss something if you don't get your ticket.
That number again is 344-9427.
I'm going to leave this with you if you want
Thank
to
you so much. June Buggy.
June Buggy.
Who is this pretty lady here?
That's Dolores several years ago. That's
All
an old
right,
picture.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed our show. We appreciate our sponsors so much, and want to mention our good friends at Country Financial today in downtown Troy. We appreciate all of our sponsors. See you tomorrow, bright and early for Today in L.A., and you can catch this show again today at 1:30. What a show it was with Lawrence Bowden. Thank you.